Israel-Iran news now. UK and US bomb Houthi rebels in Yemen. How close is full-scale war? Early Friday, the US and Britain bombed Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen in retribution for weeks of Red Sea cargo ship strikes. Is the US headed for war? The strikes, a huge escalation of US involvement in the Middle East, may be the most dangerous in a battle that may spread across the region. Secretary of State Antony Blinken launched his fourth urgent Mideast visit in 3 months a few days ago to minimize violence spillover. According to foreign affairs and defense experts, the U.S. military response against the Houthis may not deter a resilient group that has survived years of bombings by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and will continue to attack until Israel ends its military campaign in Gaza. The U.S. has now put itself in a situation where more military action is all but assured if, or more likely when, the Houthis retaliate, resulting in a tit-for-tat cycle that could quickly get out of hand, said Daniel DePetris, a foreign affairs fellow at Defense Priorities, a Washington, D.C.-based think tank that supports a smaller U.S. military. This may be a series of small strikes or the start of a longer, more complex war, which might affect U.S. politics in a presidential election year. Why are Houthis assaulting Red Sea ships? There have been 27 Houthi assaults since November, presented as reprisal for Israel's war in Gaza, which began following the October 7 Hamas attack. The Pentagon said the first evaluations of damage from U.S.-led attacks on Yemeni locations used by Houthi terrorists to fire missiles and drones into Red Sea commercial shipping lanes were favorable. U.S. Navy ships and submarines fired missiles at Houthi drone, ballistic, cruise missile, and coastal radar facilities, supported by U.S. and British jets. Other nations backed the attack. Their initial impacts are positive, said Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder Friday. We have not seen any Houthi retaliation. The Houthis have promised retribution or retaliation for U.S. and British strikes. Experts think the vow might push the U.S. and a few Western allies toward war in the Middle East. As the attacks began, Trita Parsi of the Washington, D.C.-based Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft warned that bombing them would escalate matters and lead to the war President Joe Biden seeks to prevent. For flashpoints, Israel-Hamas conflict could start Middle East war. The strikes on the Houthis will not work, stated Defense Priorities Policy Director Benjamin H. Friedman. They will likely fail to thwart Houthi shipping attacks. Friedman claimed strikes' probable failure will drive escalation to more violent measures that may also fail. Yemeni Houthi strikes, what happened? The U.S. and Britain targeted over a dozen Houthi rebel facilities in Yemen with backing from Australia, Bahrain, Canada, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, New Zealand, and South Korea. They targeted Houthi missile, radar, and drone facilities to limit its Red Sea warship and commercial vessel targeting. U.S. Air Force Mideast Command bombed nearly 60 targets at 16 Yemeni installations, including command and control hubs, ammunition stockpiles, launching systems, industrial facilities, and air defense radar systems. The strikes killed 5 Houthi rebels and wounded 6, according to a military spokesman. Is this war? Friday, the Biden administration maintained that the Middle East military operation was not a war. There's no war with the Houthis, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told reporters on Air Force One. We don't want war in Yemen. This was aimed to disrupt it, to impair Houthi military capabilities, Kirby said, adding that they were still reviewing the strikes. Kirby also stated the U.S. would hold Iran accountable for their disruptive activities for supporting the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas, but he did not specify. Kirby called the strikes planning by still hospitalized Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin seamless. He stated his participation was no different than on any other day, except he briefed the president on choices and participated in hospital conversations. Who are Houthi rebels? Yemen's Shia Houthis are armed. They are part of a group of Iran-backed militants in the Middle East who oppose Israel, the U.S., and the West, together with Hamas and Hezbollah in Lebanon. After Hamas attacked Israel, Houthi commander Abdul Malik al-Houthi claimed his men were ready to go in the hundreds of thousands to join the Palestinian people and battle the enemy. Iran trains, finances, and militarily supports the Houthis. A grinding war with Yemen's internationally recognized government has lasted since 2014. The Houthis rule northwest Yemen and Sana'a. Iran supports the Houthis because of its longtime hatred towards Saudi Arabia and the UAE, which are striving to reinstall Yemen's exiled government. Recent progress toward a peace solution is weak and short. Thomas Juneau, a University of Ottawa international affairs professor, said years of Saudi and UAE bombardment of Houthis have not reduced their military capability. UK and US bomb Yemeni Houthis. Now what? British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak called the strikes limited, necessary and proportionate. President Joe Biden threatened more measures to defend our citizens and the free flow of foreign commerce. There was no sign of immediate bombings. For now, the Houthis have the ball. Senior Houthi official Mohammed al-Bukaidi warned both countries would regret their follies. He claimed soon they would learn that the direct war against Yemen was the worst error in their history. Houthi spokesman Mohammed Abdul Salam explicitly threatened to strike ships traveling into Israeli ports and those passing through the river. Iran's foreign ministry spokesman Nasser Kanani remarked on Telegram that the strikes would have no result other than stoking insecurity and instability in the area. Some days before Friday's U.S. and British retaliation strikes, Yemen expert Gregory D. Johnson at the Arab Gulf States Institute in Washington seemed to agree. The U.S. shooting down their drones and missiles, drowning their ships, has not discouraged the Houthis, he said. What if missile hits are identical? What if U.S. airstrikes embolden the Houthis? According to Yemen-born analyst Faria al-Muslimi of Chatham House, the U.S. and Britain's targeting of Houthi facilities is insignificant compared to their military capabilities, particularly maritime weapons. They are smarter, better prepared, and better equipped than people realize. Al-Muslimi stated the strikes won't deter Houthi Red Sea raids.